A very good afternoon and welcome to Montreal in Canada for stage 2 of the inaugural Tour of Canada. I'm David Goldstrom with Eurosport's Nordic team for this 12-day journey from east to west across Canada, beginning over here in the French part of Canada and in what you can see are some blizzardy, wintry conditions. Well, we're in Montreal. And Montreal, of course, the largest city in the Canadian province of Quebec, and named after Montreal, Royal, which is a major feature that you'll see during today's cross-country examination. The city, of course, is on the island of Montreal, which took its name from the city. And this is home to, if you take the big global area, getting on for some 4 million souls. But before we get into today's competition, a chance to look back at the highlights of yesterday and indeed the women's sprint. We have, of course, today both men's and women's races. Today's women's race over 10,500 meters is a mass start classic race, which features some 72 competitors from 18 nations. And here's just a flavor of Montreal, of course, host of the 1976 Olympic Games and the Formula One Grand Prix, and of course the famous Montreal Canadiens in terms of ice hockey, who have mopped up over the years no less than 24 Stanley Cup championship victories. Well, it's a chilly day, but as I said, before we get started here, let's look back to Gatineau yesterday, across the river from the capital of Canada, Ottawa, for the first stage, the sprint, and featuring indeed Micah Kaspersen-Faller, the Olympic champion, setting out for her 7th win of the season. And the field led in the early stages by the talented Swede, and Stina Nilsson in the white there with that turquoise bib as the leader of the under-23 rankings. Shadowed in dark blue by Jess Diggins of the United States in this final of the women's sprint. Micah Kaspersen-Faller over on the far side as they came up this hill to the crucial turn. Stina Nilsson getting the optimum position, followed through by Jess Diggins, but Kaspersen-Faller's pace good enough to slip her past both the American and the Swede on the drop down towards the finish. And Kaspersen-Faller accelerating away, leaving the American and the Swede to fight this out in the last few meters of the race. And Stina Nilsson just proving the stronger, but Micah Kaspersen-Faller notching up her 7th win of this sprint season to continue her domination of this World Cup discipline. Stina Nilsson the runner-up, and Jess Diggins on the podium once again.
Do well here.
So the clock ticking towards midday in Montreal, some 6 minutes to go. NordicSkiTV@gmail.com is our email address, and we'll be back to set up the start of the women's race after this. So once again, a very good afternoon to Montreal for the second stage of this inaugural Tour de Canada. And today the racing is in classic style on a chilly, chilly day. You'll see the athletes well wrapped up for this. We've had blizzard conditions, a really strong wind, about 9 kilometers per hour. And this, the capital of the French province of Canada, as we just reflect once again on yesterday's opening stage, in which Norway's Micah Kaspersen-Faller ultimately got the best of Sweden's Stina Nilsson and Jess Diggins for the United States. And so it means that according to the finish order and timing of yesterday's sprint, that will be effectively the start order of today's classic race over 10,500 meters in classic style. 3 times 3.5 kilometers around this adjusted course, which has as its feature a Mount Royal or Mont Royal. Mont Royal, this mountain, although you might think it as a hill, it's not exactly the highest hill or mountain in the world at some 233 meters. But this, as you see, or will see, is a big feature in today's course. There you have it at -7, and it was a lot colder even an hour ago. And this course here is quite testing. It's got the uphill climb, nothing like Moerderbakken or Murder Hill, but nonetheless you come out of the stadium and then you can see it's quite undulating, and then you come at about 700 meters to this climb up to Mont Royal, and all the time you're working, it's quite twisty, it's quite turny, some bank corners, and overall really demanding. And there's 3 journeys around this to make up the distance of 10.5 kilometers. Well, in the competition list, here it is, 72 competitors from 18 nations, lots of yellow cards there, and because we're in classic style, the jury and the officials will be very eagle-eyed here. Remember, it's classic, and the way you take the corners does allow some leeway, but if you overcook it, and even Teresa Johaug there has got a yellow card by her name, so they'll be conscious of that, those who've got that yellow card, not to become disqualified, because you carry those yellow cards all the way through to the end of the season. So even if you behave today, you'll still have that yellow card to the end of the season. There's Annika Taylor, bib number 54 for Great Britain, and Andrew Musgrave going in the men's race a little later in the afternoon. So they're lining up, and you can see the women really well wrapped up on this chilly day and trying to keep moving here. 10,500 meters. Maika Kaspersen-Faller, the winner yesterday, there she is, about to lead the charge. So the order from yesterday's sprint, the finishing order determining the start order for today's race. They're under the starters' orders, who hopefully will be kind enough not to keep them hanging around. You can see they really want to get moving. This is a chilly, not only because of the temperature, but they've got a 9-kilometer wind to deal with, which is really a chill factor, and that's why you can see that everybody's on the move here. So for Ingrid Ersberg, 2 away from you, and then Ida Ingmarsdotter closest to you, settling now, gun raised. And away we go with stage 2 of the inaugural Tour of Canada for these women in very chilly conditions. The journey is 10,500 meters in classic stride and glide. 3.5 kilometers the loop, which they do 3 times. And Maika Kaspersen-Faller wearing the red bib of the Tour of Canada lead, as she was the winner of yesterday's sprint in Gatineau, and she leads out, followed there by Stina Nielsen in the turquoise bib for the points leader in the under-23 rankings, representing Sweden, the runner-up in the sprint, and of course Jess Diggins in for America, the 3rd place on the podium, and a little bit of jostling, as you can see there, as they start to sort themselves out. I think that was Sandra Ringvald on the near side trying to get an early position, as already there onto the climb on this slightly overcast day, but really good atmosphere, and all credit to the spectators for wrapping up warm and coming out here. So in that lead journey, and you can just see the blizzard-type wind that's at the back of these women and the stiffness of that United States flag. And Heidi Weng on the right there, wearing 5, leading the charge. Kaspersen Faller on the near side. And although we know her as a sprinter, this is the sort of distance she should be able to manage at 10,500 meters. Theresa Johaug is down the field, the overall tour leader. She's wearing bib number 27. Must be one of those rare occasions there. She's just, she wears the yellow bib actually, rather than the number. But of course, she's very conscious of the fact that the overall World Cup title is not... Oh, and Stina Nielsen there into trouble, just off balance, and she was really forward on her toes there. As I said, there are 1 or 2 tricky corners with some banking, and you can see that even Stina coming out there of the tracks for a little herringbone, and again Heidi Weng in there. Mont Royal, which is at the heart of this course here, it consists of 3 peaks: Colline de la Croix, or Mont Royal proper they call it, at 233 meters or 764 feet. Colline d'Outremont, or Mount Murray, which is in the borough of Outremont, that's at 211 meters, and Westmount Summit at 201 meters above sea level. But you can see here, if you're not climbing, you're descending. If you're not descending, you're turning. And already the field spread out, a certain amount of single file early on here as they move on here. And it is up front there, Heidi Weng. And of course, Heidi Weng, who yesterday in the sprint finished a very decent 4th. And just to put everything in perspective for you in these early stages, Theresa Johaug leads the overall World Cup rankings from Heidi Weng by 364. Sorry, these are the distance points difference I'll give you. 364 points and 498 back to Erzberg. But when I talk about the overall rankings, then Theresa Johaug has only a 115-point lead over Ingvild Flugstad Erzberg, and Heidi Weng 434 points back. But the important thing to remember in this Tour of Canada, like the Tour de Ski, that there are 50 points available for the individual race stage victory, plus 400 as a bonus to the overall winner at the end of the Tour of Canada, plus bonus sprints. And these bonus sprints are really important, as you see Theresa, who's worked her way pretty well through all of the trouble to get up there and take the lead. Now these sprints, they come on the 2nd lap and the 3rd lap, and they're in seconds. So first across the line gets a bonus of 15 seconds, 12 for the second person across the line, 10 for the third, right down to 1 second for 10th place. And then whoever crosses the finish line today in first place gets an extra 15-second bonus. The runner-up second gets 10 seconds bonus, and the third place athlete across the finish line gets an extra 5 seconds. So hopefully that makes it all very clear. The women still on this twisty-turny first loop at the moment, and through the first couple of kilometers, Charlotte Kaller was well to the fore there through the first 1.1 kilometer. And now we'll focus on the race. So 8th there is Charlotte Kaller in the white there. Theresa Johaug leading at the moment from Astrid Jacobsen of Norway. And Charlotte Kaller very much the meat in a Norwegian sandwich, because right behind her you've got Heidi Weng, and then behind Heidi Weng you've got Maika Kaspersen Faller. The athlete we're looking for there behind Stina Nielsen, who comes next, is Ersberg, but on the near side, just coming up there behind Kaspersen Faller, wearing 2. That's Jess Diggins, who already is a distance World Cup winner this season, and Ersberg tracking Jess Diggins. And that might be a sensible thing to do, because Ersberg, she knows that she has a chance to win the overall World Cup, but she's got to manage her energy. So now Teresa Johaug really piling it on with Astrid Jacobsen. A little gap to Heidi Weng, then Charlotte Kaller, then Maike Kaspersen Faller, and a gap back to Ersberg, who's realised that whatever her early game plan was, it ain't working, because the front 3, 4, 5 are getting away from her. So coming up to 2,000 metres, good Canadian support all the way round this track here. And you can see Charlotte Kaller struggling, having to herringbone up there. So through 2 kilometres, and Teresa Johaug leads the way. So the athlete through 2,000 metres, but still to complete the first lap. But this is deja vu in the sense that Teresa Johaug has already split this field asunder. Only Astrid Jacobsen going with her. Look at the distance back to Heidi Weng. And there's no bonus sprint on this first lap. It only comes on laps 2 and laps 3, and then a big gap back to Charlotte Kaller, being pursued by Maike Kaspersen Faller and Ersberg. So here we come to the end of the first rotation, and it really is blowing. You can't see it in every picture, but it's blowing hard, the wind, and it really is Canadian winter. So here you'll get the order as they come through. Heidi Weng with, as you can see, the best part of 10 seconds. Then back to Maike Kaspersen Faller. And out she goes. And now the ever clever Teresa Johaug will be very conscious of the fact that the first of the bonus sprint opportunities comes up in 1,100 metres as they leave the stadium here. And these are really big gaps early on, they really are. And Maike Kaspersen Faller leading that chasing group after Heidi Weng, 21 seconds back. Ersberg's in there, Diggins is in there, Sadie Bjørnsen for the United States, Ingmars Dotter and Stina Nielsen also in that group. And they've got a lot of work to do to close this gap, and still Teresa Johaug still has a little look around, and Astrid Jacobsen's just drifted a metre or 2 away. She's been looking around to see that if Astrid's there, because she's conscious of the fact that she's working her way to the first of these bonus sprint opportunities, 4,600 metres, and it looks like Teresa Johaug is going to get that first opportunity to get a 15-second bonus, which ultimately will be deducted off her total overall running time, if you get my gist. And there you can see the chasing group. .51 on the outside of that pack, you might have noticed, was Justyna Kowalczyk. We've seen 1 or 2 hints of Justyna's potential return to form, but look at this. This is really familiar territory, and Johaug in herringbone fashion is just really motoring up this hill here with that light body weight, the superb power to weight ratio. Pursued by Astrid Jacobsen, Heidi Weng trying to close up, and Maike Kaspersen Faller's double poling at the moment, holding off the likes of Charlotte Kaller. Ersberg in there. 9 is 9 will be Sandra Ringvald, just looking at and Justyna Kowalczyk. You can just see her making ground in that group there. She's getting into about sixth place in that chasing group. But out on her own-some and lonesome here. Look at the rhythm. Upper body straight up the hill here. And this is a real demanding test. This Tour of Canada, which starts in the east and takes us ultimately across the Rockies to Canmore, the venue for the 1988 Winter Olympic Games. So 15 seconds will be deducted off Johaug's total time. Jakobsen will get 10 seconds deducted off hers, or I should say 12, and then 10 to Heidi Weng. And then this works down to 1 second for 10th place crossing the line. So Heidi Weng working extremely hard, but they've all been taken off their feet here. And yeah, you can see Ersberg just sprinting up there to get ahead of Faller, using that strength to get the better bonus points. And there is Justina in the yellow and the black race suit coming up, and good to see her getting amongst things. Stina Nielsen has been having a nightmare. I'm not sure what's happened to her skis as much as anything else, but at the moment she's really struggling and dropping back. Well, I can tell you that Theresa Johaug's out on her own, but if you look back in the distance there, you'll see that Heidi Weng has now got herself on the ski tails of Astrid Jakobsen. We had a sort of similar stage in this year's Tour de Ski over a longer distance. Theresa Johaug won that by 38 seconds from Ersberg. Heidi Weng was in third place. And it's remarkable that the Norwegian female racers have actually won the last 14 World Cup races in classic style. Distances of 5 kilometers or more. And the last racer to win, who was not Norwegian, was Justina Kowalczyk's 10-kilometer classic victory in Śląska Poręba in January of 2014. And it's interesting because there is a good sign of movement from Justina Kowalczyk. And remember, she also in Sochi was the 10-kilometer gold medalist. And there she is right on the center of your picture there, chasing Ersberg. So this is promising. Ersberg, by the way, who picked up 8 seconds of bonus time. But look at the difference here. You can see that at the interval they're coming to now. I mean, Ersberg was 39 seconds behind. Now that group and Justina Kowalczyk pushing on with Ersberg. They're now 61, 62 seconds off the leading trio, all Norwegians. Micah Kaspersen Faller in there as well. The Finns there, 12 Palmakoski ahead of Kerttu Niskanen, who wears bib number 23. But this is hard racing in hard conditions. And there you can just see Johaug on these tricky turns, trying to maintain the speed, but it is very, very easy to have a slip and a fall here. And you can see the amount of fresh snow that's fallen on this course. Charlotte Kaller, of course, who had a fall in the sprint, which really demolished her chances of big points yesterday. It was a long sprint over 1,700 meters, really quite grueling. And then, of course, a 2-hour-plus journey from Gatineau to Montreal. So Ersberg pushing on, being followed by Jess Diggins in there. These twists and turns wouldn't necessarily be to Justina Kowalczyk's liking, but she's more uncomfortable on the downhills, as we know, rather than anything else. And Theresa Johaug just gulping in the oxygen at the moment. What a remarkable athlete she is. Of those 14 classic races won by Norwegian female racers, Theresa has won no less than 8 of those. Marit Bjørgen, soon to return, I guess, 5 of those. Heidi Weng's got 1 win. That was in this year's Tour de Ski. And in 7 of the last 10 of these classic races, Norway's finished 1, 2, 3. Krista Parmakoski in Toblach ruined that with a second place finish, and Ann Kalonen third, of course, in Oslo in the 30-kilometer classic. So 7 kilometers completed, so 2 out of the 3. And remember, as they go out on this third lap, there's yet another bonus opportunity, as well as the finish bonus as well. So when you consider that Teresa's already collected 15, she'll get, unless she falls over, another 15, and that would make 30, and she has the possibility of getting 45 seconds, bonus seconds, in this particular race itself. And that is huge when you know you're being pursued by Ørsberg, who's not without a chance of the overall title, and technically Heidi Weng still very much in there. Crystal globes to be presented for the first time ever in the World Cup in Canada at the end of the tour. And there on the right of your picture, Justyna Kowalczyk, nice rhythm there, got ahead of Ørsberg. A 9 on the left of your screen there, oh sorry, 2 I should say, Jess Diggins with that dark headband for the United States, following her. Pity we don't stay on that group a little bit longer, just to see a little bit more of the action of that chasing third group. So Johaug separated by over 30 seconds, going on 40 seconds to Heidi Weng. And remember, it's this bonus sprint which is, you know, charging Teresa up. She left the stadium. She knows she's got 1,100 meters to the second bonus sprint. And that determination in the first loop to come up from 27th place in the start order there, up right into the beginning. It was a fantastic move by her. And this is not by any means a comfortable ride. And these hills are just food and drink to her. She can punch her way up these. But for so much of the season, we've not had wintry conditions like this. So it's a test for the servicemen as well, as much as anything else. And there you can see the second and third really being split asunder. And Heidi Weng, who's now not only caught up but overtaken Astrid Jakobsen, who trails in her wake. Really fantastic technique. You can see the way that Teresa Johaug, as soon as she comes out of the curve there, accelerates, moves up. And so this is for a total of 30 bonus seconds. And still look at that upper body, straight up the hill there, almost dancing the herringbone. Very good afternoon to Paul in Ottawa. I hope you, well, I gather you did enjoy the first opening sprint, and I'm most grateful to you, Paul, because I was struggling with your new, or let's say lesser known Canadian sprinter, McIsaac. So thank you very much for helping me with the pronunciation. And let's hope that in time she and others will turn out to follow in the footsteps of Becky Scott and Sarah Renner, who was so great for Canadian women's skiing at the very highest Olympic and world levels. So Heidi Weng trying to get away from Astrid Jakobsen, and step by step she's doing just that. And of course the herringbone completely legal. It's where you go round the corners that you have to be very careful in classic not to overskate or overstep, and that's when the jury can bring out the yellow cards. And now you can see how this differential has grown at 7 kilometers. The chasing pack led by Justyna Kowalczyk, who's just about there with Ørsberg. They were 1:18 behind, and again another 6-7 seconds has gone, and it's that fantastic pace being set up front there by Therese Johaug. And it looks like slow motion when you compare Therese Johaug's attack on the bonus sprint hill. We'll get a pick-me-up. Obviously, Erzberg very keen to get across the line ahead of Kowalczyk to at least get another 8-second bonus. Plenty of coaches with poles ready in case of breakages, but this is really hard work. 47, that's Natalie von Siementhal in the black race suit for Switzerland, and back to the leader. And there it is, 15 seconds. Let's run down here. Erzberg gets another 8 seconds. Kowalczyk comes into it with 6. Faller, 5. Diggins, 4. Niskanen, the best of the Finns, across that line with her teammate Kilonen. Charlotte Kalla, top 10, only 1 second of bonus. And there are even moments where Therese Johaug gets almost double over. Mont-Royal is really proving to be a hard examination, but it's Norway 1, Norway 2, Norway 3. Now with just a couple of kilometers to go for Therese Johaug to the finish of this race. Next time we'll get will be with 9 kilometers completed, so just 1,500 meters. Here we go. And Teresa, look at the amount of fresh snow that's fallen here. This has really been a wintry test there. Kowalczyk leads the pack from Erzberg. Micah Kaspersen Faller ahead of Jess Diggins. Watch out for Jess Diggins. She's got a lot of track craft and may well be just holding just that little bit of energy to attack right towards the finish. Heidi Weng in turn clear of Astrid Jakobsen as they go through 9 kilometers. And Weng was 44 seconds behind at the last time check. Here she comes, and you can see Johaug just kept that rhythm going. A lot of people write in and they say, well, you know, with this sort of lead, why doesn't she ease off? She seems to have the race won, but the reality is that it's actually quite hard to do, to just drop off the pace there, because you tend to potentially lose your rhythm, and in turn that can put you into some level of jeopardy. Very good afternoon to Ian. I gather that it got pretty cold yesterday with the wind chill for the opening stage, but I guess from what I can see you thoroughly enjoyed it, particularly Jess Diggins. And when you were talking about the blizzard, well, we've had blizzard conditions earlier on, but look at Justyna Kowalczyk. I'm really encouraged for her. She's had, you know, a deal of personal problems to get through as well. And now we go back to the woman who is really commanding this 10.5 kilometer classic race and coming towards the finish, where she'll collect yet another 15-second bonus. And she's been basically untouchable. Where she was in Europe, she has picked up over in Canada. And a bit of brightness coming out to welcome her as the stage 2 winner. And nothing seemingly can stop Therese Johaug, but it's a long journey still to go. 8 race stages over 12 days. And a lot of these racers who are really operating at the highest level, at the limit. The biggest danger to many of them is that sickness, that just going over the top. But there's nothing about sickness here. Here she comes into, as you can see, the last 50 meters. And this has been a really workmanlike effort from her. But it's been a superb display of how to deal with gusty, blustery, snowy, and very difficult conditions on some of the corners. And she gets the 50 points for the stage win. Of course, she gets those 45 seconds of time bonuses, and here comes Heidi Weng. Heidi Weng will get an extra 10 seconds of time bonuses, and Astrid Jakobsen an extra 5, but yet again it's another 1, 2, 3. So Theresa Johaug continues to notch up the victories, and of course not only enhancing her overall position but also enhancing her position at the top of the distance World Cup rankings, for which there is an extra crystal globe. The only one she won't win this year is the sprint globe. So Heidi Weng, and look at that, a minute behind Theresa Johaug, and Astrid Jakobsen in third place now. This could be interesting there. Justina Kowalczyk ahead of Erzberg, will be desperate to get fourth place. There's Parmakoski just going through as well as they come into the finish. Jess Diggins on the left of your picture, out of your picture at the moment, trying to sprint. Micah Kaspersen Faller, yesterday's sprint winner there. Erzberg on the left of the picture being followed by Jess Diggins. They come towards the line. Kaspersen Faller on the right of your screen. Justina Kowalczyk in the centre. Erzberg to the left there. And Micah Kaspersen Faller comes home to make it 1, 2, 3, 4 for Norway. Kowalczyk, well, it's good to see her in those lead positions, albeit a minute and 42 off. And then Jess Diggins, you can see at the end of it in 8th place. Niskanen, the best for Finland there, and Parmakoski, Charlotte Kalla down to 11th. And well, Stina Nielsen in 13th place. That was a hard journey for her. 31 in picture coming home. This is Nicole Fessel, very experienced German athlete, but look at the time differentials here. Novakova, the talented young Czech there, not far away. 41 still out on the course there. That's Kari Slind. 47 Natalie von Siebenthal coming across the line. And 58 Elizabeth Steven Lampitz for Slovenia. Remember, as a stage win, it's only 50 points as it is in the Tour de Ski. So effectively half points, but that big bonus of 400 points for whoever crosses the last stage in Canmore across the line. And Theresa Johaug, who qualified for the sprint yesterday in 27th place, so she picked up a few World Cup points for that as well. Every point counts, and she knows how important these bonus sprints are to her as they come across the line here. Very good afternoon to Mark, and I gather you enjoyed the Lahti weekend, and I hope you'll enjoy and stay with us for this Tour of Canada. It's experimental, everybody will learn from this, but I think it's a great decision to bring the sport across to North America, particularly with the form of the American women. I think that's great for them. As Jess Diggins said yesterday, it was fantastic to be able to show what you can do in front of your own family, friends and fans close to home. So this is just a little reprise of what happened. First of all, Astrid Jakobsen was able to stay for a couple of kilometers with Theresa Johaug, but then the two were unable to stay the distance. Astrid Jakobsen getting across the line for ultimately third place, but Heidi Weng taking the runners-up spot. Heidi Weng in the overall World Cup rankings third, Ersberg in second place, Johaug, of course, the overall leader. So at the finish, so Theresa Johaug notching up the 15th straight classic success for the Norwegian women's squad, and they just go on and on at the moment. And there are the three heroines of Montreal. Well, we still have the men's race to come for you later. Andrew Musgrave of Great Britain involved in that. Here's the winner.
For the SMS Tour here in Canada. Was that the plan again from the beginning today? Just do some damage on the second stage and have a good position moving into the weekend?
Yeah, of course, this race was really important for me. I was a little bit nervous from the start because I have the start number 27 and was really long back in the start, but I tried to have a quiet start and just take place by place and work me up in the hills. So I'm really happy that I can get a so big gap today, and it was difficult conditions. It was a lot of wind and snow, and you didn't maybe see the tracks out there, but I feel the shape is still really good, and I am so happy that I could have a gap like I have.
Really interesting comment. It's probably been a long time since you were 26th on the starting row in a mass start.
Yeah, it was really difficult. I think about it when I started, but oh my God, usually I stand in the front, but now I'm back and it's a lot of people, but I have focused on myself today to do a good technique, and it was really nice to ski here. A little bit cold and windy, but really nice to ski in Canada.
Well, great. Well, congratulations on the victory, and you are the tour leader as we head to Quebec City for Friday.
Oh my God, I do enjoy that.
Yeah, indeed, it only took her 2 kilometers to get up the front there, but there are the updated statistics for the stunningly talented Theresa Johaug. Racers like her don't come around very often. They are racers of their generation. Kowalczyk was stunning at the height of her powers, and maybe we'll see her come back to something like that. That would be really good to post some opposition to these Norwegian superstars. Well, the men's race has yet to come before you. That's also on Eurosport 1, Eurosport International, and we'll be here for that at 8:15 Central European time. And the build-up for that particular race, which gets underway at 8:30, and of course the men's race over a longer distance. The men who will be tackling a race with 5 laps round the 3.5 kilometer course, and again the bonus sprints are surely going to come into play. There are bonus sprints in the men's race on the 2nd and 4th laps, and similarly for those who cross the finish line in 1st, 2nd and 3rd positions. So 1 or 2 who are still out on the course. Conditions really were difficult, but you have to have a very positive attitude. This is Jacqueline Moraes from Brazil, coming in to finish this 10-kilometer classic. She's a racer we don't see very much in World Cup, but all credit to her being here. We see her from time to time in the Olympic Games and the World Championships. And as you can see, by no means the last to finish here.
Alors la seule représentante maintenant du tombeau, mesdames et messieurs, veuillez l'accueillir.
69, this is Mathilde Petitjean, who's actually registered for Togo, or I think I'm right about that. And there she is. And one more home here, Marie Corriveau from the Club Nautique for Canada. And there have been a number of Canadians in the competition. And as I said, it would be really great to see if they could come through one day soon to pick up from the likes of Becky Scott and Sarah Renner. I can tell you, Olivier Bouffard-Nesbitt of Canada in 32nd place, and just looking at that, 46.5 seconds off the lead. I'm just going to double check this because I think she is the top Canadian as you see the final results for yourselves there. Another Canadian finisher, Dana Beatty in 50th place. So stage 2, good start. Interesting to see what the men make of the conditions. But I want to, in the finish, just looking at the finish, Johaug, Veng, Jakobsen, Faller, the 1, 2, 3, 4 for Norway. Just want to Caitlin Craig there, you see down there, she just, I think, won her 3rd American Birkebeiner, which I think is a record a couple of weeks ago. I remember she was a bronze medalist for the United States in Falun. So I'm just trying to just double check that I haven't misled you in terms of all those Canadian finishes. I'll just quickly but carefully go down the list until I check them. Emily Nishikawa in 45th place on reflection looks to be the best of the Canadians coming home, and she's much more experienced in World Cup. And there you can see the Tour de Ski standings and the differentials in time. And of course, every leg of the Tour de Ski determines the starting order for the next phase of the journey. The athletes get a day off after today, but they're in action again on Friday. And that'll be another sprint, but this time the sprint will be in Quebec. Freestyle sprint, and there you have it, the overall World Cup. And you can see there Erzberg, who closed the gap yesterday. Now the gap opens up a little wider because of Johaug's success today. And those flags tell the story of today's race. After 2 kilometers, Theresa Johaug weaved her way through the pack, starting in 27th place, and led the field a merry dance. Astrid Jakobsen tried to follow, Veng overtook her. Norway succeed. Join us for the men's race at 8:15 Central European.